Welcome to Business Communication, Lesson 1, Session 1. I'm very excited to be with you today and have the opportunity to share this material with you. I want to start out with a little bit of a personal introduction for you. Here you can see some of my personal educational background. My PhD is in sociology with areas of emphasis in international political economy and work in organizations. I also have a graduate demography certificate, a graduate higher education teaching specialist certificate. I have my master's of public administration with an emphasis in human resource management and organizational behavior, and my bachelor's of science in sociology with emphasis in research and analysis, and a minor in Korean and a minor in business. I also have 2 professional certifications. I'm a senior fellow of the Higher Education Academy, and I'm an academic fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development out of London. My areas of expertise include the future of work, globalization, labor, and the transformation of work, and the sociology of work, strategic international human resource management, international political economy, organizational leadership, adult learning theory and andragogy, as well as emerging trends in higher education and program assessment. I'm an associate professor of organizational leadership and ethics at my home university in the Woodbury School of Business, and the director of academic service learning at Utah Valley University. I'm also a human capital leadership and performance management consultant, and I was recently a Fulbright Scholar, a POSCO Fellow, a Learning Innovation Research Fellow, as well as several other positions and opportunities where I had to go to other parts of the world and to teach and to conduct research. I'm passionate about teaching. I love to conduct research, enjoy working with organizations in the community, and love writing in all styles, from academic to professional to op-ed to other creative writing projects. I've also been extensively quoted and cited as a management expert in popular press, national and abroad, and I enjoy my involvement in various service assignments and activities both on and off of campus. The structure of the course is as follows. This course is divided into 6 lessons of 45 minutes, shown in 3 sessions of 15 minutes or so each. Each lesson is followed by a question and answer session. Typical questions will be answered in a 45-minute sequence, also shown in 15-minute segments. The course is accompanied by text and audio and video materials, and the course guide in the study pack. By successfully completing this course, you will grasp the major concepts of political thought, of major organizational communication in theory and practice. Key aspects of this course include the following. In this course, you will learn first about the foundation of business communication. The main purpose is to deal with workplace communication, and the course will cover communication methods used at workplaces such as verbal and nonverbal methods, report writing, memo writing, and letter writing. At the end of lesson 1, students who complete this lesson will learn about the following: foundations of business communication, again, workplace diversity, communication elements, and organizational communication. And now we will begin lesson 1, session 1, an introduction to business communication. Let me ask you a couple of questions. First, why do we study business communication? Good communication does in fact cross disciplines: correct grammar and audible speaking. Business communication is dealing with organizational communication, so it is so very needed and very vital. Most importantly, business communication will make you learn how to persuade people to accomplish your desired results. So what is communication? The word communication means the act or process of giving or exchanging of information, signals or messages, as by talk, gestures, or writing. Another question for you: why do we need communication? And why do we communicate? The purpose of any given communication may be one of a few possibilities. First, to initiate some action. Second, to impart information, ideas, attitudes, beliefs, or feelings. Third, to establish, acknowledge, or maintain links or relations with other people. First, let's look at initiating action. Initiating action may be achieved by two basic categories of communication, verbal and nonverbal, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Second, imparting information. Imparting information, ideas, attitudes, beliefs, and feelings may have any number of specific purposes. Establishing relations, acknowledging and maintaining relations with other people are vital functions of effective communication, particularly in the workplace. As we think about why we communicate and how we communicate, we should also think about what the advantages are of communication in our career. Your success in your career is based on your ability to do well in both written and oral communication. If your career requires mainly mental rather than manual labor, your progress will depend on how effectively you communicate your ideas to others who need or should receive those ideas. Strong communication skills are found in every job description listed by companies advertising positions. In fact, as an HR professional, I see that good communication skills are really at the foundation of most high-skill, high-level types of jobs. Communication is also required in government and nonprofit organizations. Really, all organizations need employees with effective communication. Communication skills play a major role at every level within every organization. So let's talk a little bit more now about why communication matters in the workplace. Today's workplace is increasingly diverse in terms of age, gender, national origin, and many other demographics and factors. Diversity has brought problems to organizations, but it also has brought many strengths and opportunities to organizations. These changing demographics have contributed to change in management styles, making effective communication central to success in carrying out the organization's business. In order to handle workplace diversity, we should be very much looking for strong opportunities for good communication and effective communication to present our message to those around us. At the workplace, we have to be good in written and spoken communication. Reports, letters, memos, and many other forms of written communication are needed to communicate in the workplace and with each other in our interpersonal relationships within the workplace. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about the elements of effective communication in the workplace. First, why do we need effective communication? If you can communicate effectively in speaking and writing, you have a highly valued skill. In fact, it's a skill that many people don't have. So it makes you very marketable in the workforce. Effective communication is a basic job requirement and first among the personal factors necessary for promotion and to move up within your organization. Communication is considered effective when it achieves the desired response from the receiver. Simply speaking, communication is a two-way process of exchanging information, and it's something that we all do constantly every day. To understand the two-way process, we need to understand the components of effective communication. So there are several different types of communication that I want to take a few minutes to talk to you about today. First, communication can be categorized into three basic types. And I want you to think about examples of these different types in your daily life as you communicate with coworkers, as you communicate with people at home and within your communities. First is verbal communication. Verbal communication is that communication in which you listen to a person to understand their meaning. So just like I'm talking to you right now, you're listening, I'm communicating verbally, and hopefully you're able to understand what I'm trying to communicate to you in terms of actual meaning. Second, we have written communication. Written communication is also very common in organizations. Written communication is that communication in which you read the meaning that someone is trying to convey to you. And this takes many forms within an organization. This allows you to not only hear verbally and to process the information, but to have it written down where you can refer back to it. And it allows you to read that meaning. Third, and also very importantly, is nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is very common, and we're constantly doing this. So just like right now, while I'm speaking to you, I'm also giving nonverbal cues to you. I'm gesturing slightly with my hands, I'm looking around the room, I'm making eye contact with you, and I'm trying to have an opportunity to connect with you. We do that with each other constantly when we're communicating in both verbal and nonverbal ways. So nonverbal communication is that communication in which you observe a person and infer meaning from their facial expressions, from their eye movements, from their body gestures, and all of these different types of movements that might have some meaning to us and helps us have better information about what is happening with our communication with this person. Let's talk a little bit more about verbal and nonverbal communication. As I said, verbal communication is that communication that involves words, like written or spoken communication, where I'm using words to explain something to you, and hopefully you can understand what I mean by the words that I choose to use. Nonverbal communication is the process of sending and receiving wordless messages, like gestures, facial expressions, body language, eye contact, symbols, dress, posture, etc. All of these are different ways of nonverbal communication. Let's look at a few other areas of nonverbal communication as we try to think about how we process it and work together in nonverbal ways. Here you can see a diagram of nonverbal communication. There are many different types that you see listed here. How we stand. Do I stand up straight? Do I slouch? Do I constantly move my body back and forth? These are all different elements that can give signals or give information to the person that we're talking to. How about my facial expressions? Do I have a really grumpy face? Or do I have a really happy face? Do I have an awake face? Do I have a smiley face or a frowny face? Or do I have a blank face? All of these different types of facial expressions communicate something to the person that we're talking to. Next is laughing. Do we laugh when we're talking to other people? This doesn't necessarily have to be just with humor. Obviously, if someone tells a joke and we respond with laughter, that signals something. That signals that we consider the joke funny, or that we appreciate the person that we're talking to and their sense of humor. But sometimes when we're talking with someone, something strikes us as humorous and we also might chuckle or laugh. This also conveys depth of warmth and meaning and connection to the person that we're talking to. And this is another opportunity for connection. And this shares something with the other person that we're communicating with. Another is the use of arms or hand gestures. So if I move my arms around to talk like this, that's an opportunity for me to convey emphasis to what I'm talking about. Sometimes people are too still, and it seems a little awkward because they're so still, even though they seem to be verbally talking about something that seems to be very important to them. And sometimes that seems awkward. On the other hand, sometimes people use so much body gestures and arm and hand gestures that it becomes distracting. So you want to think about the type of message that you're trying to convey, your audience and who you're trying to convey that message to, and then think about what is the appropriate amount of hand gestures or arm gestures to add the emphasis or the movement and the energy that you're trying to convey with what you're sharing and speaking. Next is the use of legs. You can also move your legs around and have an opportunity to have movement in the room. And then finally, posture that we've already mentioned. So now I want to take a few minutes and talk about elements of effective communication in the workplace. We're going to talk about these 6 elements rather quickly because we're going to continue to discuss these further on in the lessons. The 6 components of effective communication are context, the sender and encoder, the message, the medium, the receiver and decoder, and the feedback. This is also called the communication process. So first, the context. Every message, whether oral or written, begins with context. Context means the background or situation in which you communicate. The context may be as a result of some external stimuli that makes you send a message, for example, a letter, an email, a fax, or telephone call, etc. The sender and encoder is when you send a message, you are the encoder. Encoder means written or the writer or the speaker, depending on whether your message is written or oral. The message is that core idea that you want to communicate. It consists in both verbal, written or spoken, and nonverbal, unspoken symbols. The medium is the selection of the method to communicate your message, like email, printed, or oral. This is called the medium. Language used is also part of the medium. Finally, receiver and decoder. The message receiver is your reader or listener, also called the decoder. Finally, feedback. The reaction or response of receiver, either the desired response based on a clear understanding of the message or with an undesired response based on miscommunication. And with that, we are at the end of Lesson 1, Session 1, and I look forward to seeing you in Session 2 of Lesson 1. Thank you.